right, hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Mr. Articulate. I am the guy who posts a 5-minute YouTube video every night where my goal is to speak throughout on whatever topic I'm talking about as fluently as I can without ever using filler words like or On that goal about avoiding filler words, I've been noticing that for the first 90 seconds or so of these videos, I do well with that goal. And then thereafter, I start to unravel and I become a lot more likely to use the filler words. So I'm saying that at the beginning of each video to remind myself to try to pay attention in the later few minutes of the recording. So what I want to talk about right now is classical music, and specifically try to think a little bit about why so many people who love popular music can't get into classical music. I am half in that category myself, but I've been working for years to become someone who can listen to classical music with pleasure, and I've made a lot of strides in that. So now when I listen to classical, I am moved by it, and I do feel the music of it as I'm listening. And that certainly wasn't true for me a couple years ago. But for a lot of people, again, including me until just these last couple of years, classical it's music, and you know it's music. You could never mistake it for anything but it's not musical. It doesn't have musical quality, or it doesn't cause the experience in us that we get when we listen to rock music or pop or hip hop or what have you. So I find that interesting, and one element I was dwelling on the other day is classical music does not make your body move very much compared to popular music. That's not completely the case. If you're listening to classical music and you're enjoying it, you have gotten at least as far as I have in the ability to get through the shell of the outside and actually feel it as music in the way that you do popular music. If you can get inside the shell, you do move sometimes. Sometimes the rhythms do cause you to tap your foot or rock your head or what have you, but it's not nearly as much as popular music is. And I think that a huge part of that is, or you can figure out where that discrepancy is coming from if you ask yourself, what is it in a popular music song that your body is actually moving to? Because there's a lot of different sounds that are going on in a rock track or a rap track or pop or what have you. And I'll go with guitar music, right? That's my favorite kind of popular music, is, broadly speaking, guitar music. I think that guitar is the part that your body is responding to the least. The drums and the bass, that is, if you become conscious, if you're kind of shimmying your shoulders, you're nodding your head, you're tapping your feet, clapping you're clapping or snapping your fingers if you're into swing music or whatever. It's the drums and the bass where a lot of the movement's coming from. And the guitar, not so much. And what I would propose is that, or let me backtrack and say that in spite of the drums and the bass being where a lot of the dance comes from, a lot of the body response, the guitar is the part we all love the most, right? If you listen to a rock song, the drums might be rad and the bass might be rad, but in general, the guitar is the glamour instrument as listeners. That's the one we love the most. So if popular music is the type of music that makes us dance, and guitar is our favorite part, but guitar doesn't really have a lot to do with the dance ability of the music, what could that tell us? And what I was thinking is classical music is sort of all guitar, no bass and drums. That's an oversimplification, or that's going too far in generalizing, because again, there is danceability, or there, not danceability, but there is movability in classical music. But when we listen to a rock song, I propose that the pleasure we're getting is a combination of the engagement that comes to us through our body, and that is our body having a dialogue with the bass and the drums, and we have something that beams directly into our intellect as well, or talks directly to our higher part, and that's the guitar, and you get both. I think when you sit down and listen to classical music, all the music is beaming into your higher part. It's beaming. Intellect's not quite the right word, because art is not fundamentally intellectual. It is fundamentally emotional, and it's fundamentally sensuous. So when I say intellectual, I mean the intellect of our soul. So classical music is conversing with us, but it's not conversing primarily with our body. The conversation is with our soul, or our higher self, or higher intellect. So popular music, your body gets to have a conversation, and your higher intellect gets to have a conversation at the same time. Classical music, you have to learn to get all your pleasure only from the beaming into the intellect, without getting a separate beaming into the body at the same time. So it's all vegetables, no potatoes. All vegetables, no meat. And I think there's something to that idea. So, or, it's fine cuisine, but without sugar or whatever. And I find that helpful to think about. And I have to log off now. I have to end this video. I'm already at 7 minutes, but I have left one thing out of what I realized with popular music. Because I went and tested my theory that the danceability of music comes from the bass and drums and not the guitar. The song that popped into my head was by The Killers, and it's one of their famous songs from their first album. And here I am on video, and I'm struggling to remember what it's called. There's a bridge in it where Brandon Flowers sings, "I've got soul, but I'm not a soldier," repeatedly. All these things that I've done, that's what it's called. All these things that I've done has a tremendous guitar riff that comes and goes throughout it. It's fantastic. And I found, when I listened to the song to test my theory, I wanted to see, is this guitar, as great as it is it speaking to my spirit, but not my body? And I found that was so. But I actually found the bass and drums were the second most danceable element, which is to say, the element that had the second most potent conversation with my body. Actually, the most potent element was the singing itself. Brandon Flowers' vocal melody, which I will grant, I think is pretty similar to the guitar melody, but I'll keep them separate. The vocal melody and the vocal performance of Brandon Flowers, that actually, I was dancing the hardest, I was rocking the hardest during the singing parts. The bass and drums were absolutely having a big part in that, but when it was bass, drums, and guitar and no singing, I was at one level. When the singing would come back in with those other units, that was when I felt like I was rocking my butt off. So the vocal melody, that is in alliance with the bass and drums, and it too is generally lacking in classical music. Even vocal music in classical, it's not danceable. It doesn't move you like a popular music sung melody does. So that's it. That is it for my video here. Thanks so much for watching, if you stuck it out to the end, and I will be back with another video tomorrow night. Have a good one.